Hey, and we're back, and it's time for Tax Tips with H&R Block with Beth Bennett. And, before we get started, how are you, Beth?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. Before we get started, we have had an entire week of hearing red lines, crossing red lines, all these red lines in the sand. Well, the government has given us our own red lines right here called April 15th, right?
Well, actually, this year it's April 18th.
April 18th.
April 18th is the filing deadline. You get 3 extra days this year.
Well, it's not the first.
It's still a red line. It's an ugly red line.
Well, it was just always used. Generally, it's like April 15th.
It usually is, yes.
Right, but we got till the 18th.
Well, April 15th is on Saturday.
So
that bumps it to the following Monday. But in Washington, D.C., they celebrate Emancipation Holiday, and I really don't know what that is. And so that bumps it from being Monday to Tuesday. Just because Washington, D.C. will be shut down for business that day.
The bottom line, Tuesday's it.
Tuesday's
That's the line in the sand.
Tuesday's the day.
What is Tuesday? What are we talking about? What is Tuesday?
It's the filing deadline. You need to get your taxes filed by then so you don't pay penalties. When you don't file timely and you owe, accrue daily. Mm-hmm. It's ugly. You don't want that. If you don't file your tax return, is a 5% monthly. So for each month you don't file, 5% adds on. Up to a maximum of 25% penalty to file. That's a lot. So if you owe $1,000, your penalty could be $250, depending on how late you file. So it's very important to file your extension. However, an extension to file is not an extension to pay. Most people think that means, oh, I filed an extension, I don't have to pay till October. That's not necessarily true. You are supposed to pay 90% of what you owe. If you owe at least $1,000, you're supposed to pay 90% of what you owe by April 18th. So you need to have that check in the mail, go online, pay with a credit card. If not, you face a 0.5% penalty monthly.
Okay, let me step out here and say this, and even though there's a camera running, and I really don't like to use these kind of words, but correct me if I'm wrong, which shouldn't, you really
never
shouldn't.
Happens.
Thank you very much.
I'll say it for you.
Thank you. Correct me where I might be wrong, but here's the thing. I am in no way whatsoever saying you don't pay your tax, or you're not obligated to pay. That's between you, the good Lord, and Uncle Sam. Now, but the big thing that I've heard people say is, I have said to people in the past, hey, have you filed your taxes? And they'll say, no, I don't have the money to pay them. I said, wait a minute. You still have to pay them, but your problem comes in when you don't file. So if you don't have the money, you still need to get that filing and the timely file and things like that. That's the biggie, right? I mean, it's big to pay.
The bigger penalty is for not filing.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you get an extension file. If you can't pull it all together, because a lot of people have a lot of stuff. Some people have investments, and those people don't always send you their information timely. A lot of your investment firms, and I mean, hey, some insurance stuff is just now coming out. You know what I mean? So, or if you run a business, and your business, then, your personal piggybacks off your business. So, or your business is part of your personal, depending what kind of business you are. But you want to make sure, no matter what, that on April 18th you do something to avoid the penalties. So either come in, file your return, and then there's all different arrangements you can make to pay your taxes. One, you can, go online and pay it with a credit card. Yes, there's fees for that, but the fees are way less than paying the penalties and then the interest that accrues. You can make installment payments. You can set up and make an installment plan with the IRS and pay that way. That way, it stops the penalty. It does not stop the interest, but it stops the penalty and it stops the ugly letters coming, right? You don't get threatened. They're not coming to get your house. Some people will actually take out like a loan, because the loan interest is going to be less than the penalty you'll pay, and the interest will be lower. And it's, it's a finite interest rate, not a accruing daily. I borrowed $5,000, I'm going to pay it off here, and the interest rate is this. Where the IRS, it's still accruing daily. Every day interest piles on, and they never waive interest. Sometimes you can get a penalty waived if you got this great reason why you didn't file on time. Maybe you had a death in the family or an illness or whatever. But penalties go away, interest never goes away.
But the big thing is making sure you have your taxes filed.
Make sure you filed. And filing means doing the whole full-blown tax return, or get that extension in, which gives us to October 15th to get it all together, find all the credits and deductions you can to make it the lowest tax liability possible. Now,
are there any other points? Because I know I want to make sure that if anything else, I know we have talked about so many things in the last several weeks getting up to this point. Every week we do tax tips. If you want to go back, you can go on our YouTube channel, FYNTV, FetcherNews.com, and find all of our videos here. If you still have questions on several of the subjects we've had before, or you can go to FetcherNews.com and go into our business section. Okay, just go hover over the news where it says business, click there, and we'll make sure, if we don't have them all, we will make sure all of the tax tips are there for you. Anything else that is so important this week that you want to remind people?
Remember, it's not too late to invest in a retirement plan. That'll help lower your tax liability. Maybe get you the Savers credit. We talked about that earlier. Make sure you've got all your credits and deductions. If you've got any education credits. If you're a homeowner, make sure you've got your mortgage and your interest and your taxes, your property taxes. Medical, if that affects you. If you've got an HSA, make sure you bring in those receipts, because that's an awesome credit. Any travel that you have for work, your mileage, out-of-pocket expenses for that. I don't know, Lord, we've talked about so much. There's so much we've talked about.
If somebody's out there and they're nervous that they don't have all their documents, and all their documents have not come in from an investment, or you can file an adjusted return, right? So get in and do. I mean, I don't know. Let me just say.
I would recommend, rather than filing an extension. If you know you're waiting on a document,
okay,
then I would say file an extension.
All right, instead of filing.
And then amending later.
Comes in and then you got
because that could create a letter with the IRS. Because everybody that sends you an income document is supposed to send it to the IRS. So they might get theirs first. That'll get you a letter. And then, interest and stuff accrues on that.
Okay.
If that causes you to owe more than what you did, or if you got a refund and now, because you add that income to it, now you've got to owe money back. So that gets kind of messy. Wait, if you're still waiting on documents for something, wait, just do an extension.
Do an extension.
Do an extension.
Okay, it's a holiday weekend.
I know.
It's a holiday weekend, and it actually pushes right up to next Tuesday. Do you have hours that you are going to be adjusting for holiday, or? We
are still open Easter Sunday. We will be there from 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
At the Highland Crossing office, we will be there working to help you. We're open in Chatsworth. We're open in Cornelia. So
you are going to.
We're working it. I mean, it's the time, and people are procrastinating this year. The IRS is still down over 4%. So
let me tell you something.
That's a lot of people when you talk about the IRS being down 4%.
I don't want to get us in trouble with the government, but then again, what was my first 30 minutes?
Well, I don't know that you'd ever do such a thing.
All right, but I'm not happy you're open Sunday from 1 to 5. Now let me finish. Wait a minute, but we're going to blame it on the government, okay?
Yeah.
The government has put us in a position that these taxes must be filed on Tuesday, and I myself know that all you're doing is giving everybody an opportunity to make that deadline. So 1 to 5 Sunday.
1 to 5 Sunday.
Okay, and where are all of your locations?
So we have River Street, which is in downtown, Craig Street that you see right behind me between Pools Barbecue and the drugstore, and Highland Crossing up there by Walmart. We are here all year, so Tuesday's not our last day. We don't go missing, right? We're here all year. Remember, we talked about if you have any life changes throughout the year, you lose your job, you buy a home, kid going to school, kid finishing school, take money out of your 401k because of whatever, come and see us. Come and see us.
Tax deadline, folks, is next Tuesday, actually, at midnight, right? It has to be stamped by midnight, right?
Right now, if you're going to owe, you need to know what time the post office closes. If you plan on mailing a check, it's got to be postmarked on Tuesday. If you're going to go online and pay with a credit card, you can still do that up till midnight, right?
But you have to have the postmark.
If you owe, your check needs to be postmarked on Tuesday. And I don't think that the LJ post office stays open. I think the closest one is Canton usually for us. And I haven't looked at that. I should have done that.
For the midnight opening?
Yeah, I think Canton might be our very closest one. Generally, LJ still closes at 5 o'clock.
Absolutely. So we know that Tuesday is the deadline, but that does not mean that tax issues and tax questions are not year-round. And Beth Bennett and her staff there at H&R Block in several locations are year-round to discuss anything with you that takes place. Their number is, this is always my eye test, 706-635-5563. I got it.
You got it.
I just memorized it. 706-635, I really can't see it. 635-5563. Folks, this is dedication small business. I told you earlier in the show, I just love small business, love family business. This is who you're dealing with. You need a good tax preparer and someone you can talk to. If they're going to be open 1 to 5 Sunday, that means every week I've told you that they will accommodate you. So if you can't get there before they close or you got special questions, call that number. They will work things out, right?
We absolutely will. And that's very important too, Brian. Just because you've waited till the last minute, don't make a quick snap decision and just let anybody do your return.
Oh.
Make sure you get a reputable tax preparer that's knowledgeable and has a good reputation.
If it says, now, there's a lot of people that do taxes.
A lot of people.
And there are a lot of good people that do taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a neon light and it's blinking, we do taxes, and you're like, I guess I better do this, just call that number.
Do your research.
Tell them I sent you.
Yeah, tell them Brian's saying. That'll get you big bonuses.
Oh, really? Beth, I appreciate it so much. Don't forget, H&R Block with Beth Bennett, 706-635-5563. Make your appointment. Do not be late. Tuesday's the deadline. We're going to take a brief break. When we come back, remember, you'll have a chance to be my baby. I'll explain after these commercials.